for the Asthma Society of Ireland.
Thank you very much.
So there must have been a lot of work and ideas that have gone into this garden, because even walking into the garden, Steph, who's filming it for us at the moment, said, you know what, the ground here, the design on the ground area looks like a pair of lungs. And I said, you've picked that up so quickly.
Well, this is the thing, that we wanted to have a lot of symbolism within the garden, which would sell the message to the general public coming here that says, okay, here are the lungs in the centre, and here's all the floral abundance that you can have surrounding your lungs so that you can have a lung healthy garden.
Now, you've talked about the two benches in the background here as well. Can you tell us about the benches?
Well, the benches were made by a bespoke furniture maker, David Mitchell, and what we've done is we've designed the benches so that they figure the alveoli, which are the part in the lungs that filter out all of the harmful pollutants, and we transformed them into a kind of a Celtic design to symbolise the year of craft, which this year actually is at Bloom. And those benches, again, it's to have a space where you can come and sit. The garden is called Treat Not Trigger, and the idea is that you treat your asthma, not to trigger it. And in terms of the gardening context, is that you have a garden that is a treat, not a trigger. So to have benches that you can come and sit and relax and enjoy the full floral abundance that's here.
And can you explain the two gates here that are coming out from the garden?
Again, that's another little design feature, because partially what we wanted to say is that you have airways. So the airways can open and you can move on to another space, that you don't have to be restricted by your condition in any way. But also in terms of having an asthma-free garden, if you have moving water in a garden, it can store up dust and pollen grains. So the gates feature a trickle, a water trickle in the central piece. So it's just a way of including the notion of water or freedom or airways into some of the design aspects that would go into a garden.
There must have been a huge amount of thought and contemplation into this design.
Well, yes. I mean, what you want to do is you want to create a space, specifically because this garden has a message and it has a health message. So you want to create a space that people can fall in love with. If they fall in love with the space, they fall in love with the concept, and then they bring that garden home. Now, whether they have asthma or not makes no difference. Somebody brings this garden home, they're going to limit the pollen risk to people in their street, in their community.
I'm going to pass you over to Susan now, who's going to talk to you about the various planting in the garden.
Hi Fiann, I'm really impressed with the amount of plants one can actually use in this context. And you were telling us before we started to film about double plants, and let's start with these double dianthus down here.
Well, the trick, I suppose, of this garden is to use your horticultural savvy. I mean, there are many plants that are low pollen by nature, but what you want to do with doubles is, because the male parts of the plant, the anthers, are replaced with extra petals, they've no pollen whatsoever. So if you have a favourite plant and you're not too sure whether it's a high pollen producer or a low pollen producer, if you select from your local garden centre a double variety, you know that there's zero pollen there. And then some of the other aspects that you want to do is, if you can get plants with a long corolla, either bell-shaped or trumpet-shaped, like the foxgloves or the campanulas, the bee that moves inside the plant, all of that pollen is so sticky it adheres to the bee, and the bee removes it out of your breathable atmosphere. And then there are other plants that just naturally their pollen is heavy, so that when the pollen does come off the plant, it falls to the ground instead of rising up into your breathable atmosphere.
It's a huge field. It's absolutely fascinating once you get going. And I notice here we've got roses as well, so that's...
And again, with the roses, simply select low odour roses. Some people have an odour sensitivity to their asthma, so if you pick a variety, some of the old varieties are very, very fragrant and they go over very, very quickly, but some of the new modern varieties, especially in the doubles, have a low odour.
Yes, because I have a family member who's not asthmatic but very sensitive to odour in plants and things, so it does make a huge difference. Now, let's go to the other side of the garden and see what we can find. Peonies. Now, everyone loves peonies.
Everybody loves peonies, and this one seems to be the hit of the show. It's Peony Bowl of Beauty, and it's a stunning, stunning peony. And again, most of the plants that would have been selected in this garden come from Irish growers. So this is a 5th, 6th generation peony. It's not something that just came off a trolley from Holland.
Yeah, that's terrific. And here, of course, you were talking about the long stems here. We've got the campanulas and the foxgloves you were talking about.
And again, you can see just on the foxglove over there, there's a bee entering into the long corolla. And that bee will take away all of the pollen that's inside the plant.
And here again, the heucheras here, that we're standing beside.
Yeah, the hookahs are quite feathery and it's quite attractive because I wanted to make a romantic type garden. Again, it's looking for people to be able to fall in love with the space. But the hookahs actually have a very low rating. On the opal system, which is the equivalent of the Richter scale for plant pollen, hookahs come in between 1 and 2.
So I presume somebody can Google this scale and find out.
They can go to the Asthma Society of Ireland website and they can download a full safe plant list plus a PDF that has all of the tips on how you can actually garden with an allergy. And one of the things that we've done here is we've used horticultural grit as a mulch, because if you use organic mulches, that can give off odour, it can give off spores, so an inorganic mulch is a much safer product to use within the garden.
That's brilliant. And the other thing I picked up on, of course, is we've got paving here, so grass is definitely a no-no for that.
Grass is a big no, whether it's your lawn grass or whether it's ornamental grasses. The trick to avoid it, the three things to avoid, is grass, ferns and male trees.
Gosh, it's absolutely fascinating. I've learnt a huge amount. I thought I knew something, but I've really learnt something. Thank you, Fiann.
Thank you.
Can I just point out one plant over here in the corner? Do you see the red plant with the little sort of red topping, or the yellow plant, sorry, with the little red topping? This one here.
Yes, this is a calceolaria. It's the Chinese puff flower. And again, with a plant like this, when it comes to gardening, you want to get kids involved in gardening. Too often with modern life, clean house syndrome, what's happening is that people are developing a sensitivity instead of an immunity. So with a plant like this, again, it's like a snapdragon. If I may just bend down and show you. If you come and pick a petal off and children get to play with the little puff flower, it exposes them to just enough pollen to build up antihistamines in their immune system, so that you develop an immunity and not a sensitivity.
That's an extremely important thing you've just touched on there.
Yeah, it's very important to let children actually come out and explore in the garden and to get interested in gardening, so that then in later life there is no sensitivity.
Well, it's absolutely a credit to you. Many congratulations, Fiann.
Thank you very much.
Now, anybody looking to have a garden designed by you, or they're looking to replicate what you've done here, how can they contact you?
They can contact me at www.inspiredgardens.ie.
Well, Fiann O'Nuallain, garden designer, many congratulations on your garden here today.
Thank you very much. Thank you.